Good morning, everyone. Jan Fursdon here from FursdonHouse, coming to you from Madison, Alabama on a very cold February morning. I have a journal that I literally just completed about 10-15 minutes ago, and it's a bit of a departure from what I usually do, and I had a lot of fun creating it, and I'm hoping to sort of up my game. So this is my first venture into upping my game in the journal world. She is, as I said, quite a fat and happy chunky lady. Her spine is about 2.5 inches wide. Here's the reverse of her. This piece here that I've covered with her, we purchased that. My mother and I went to a shop the other day and found this piece and thought at first that it was machine embroidered, but when we looked at the back we realized it was hand embroidered, and it's just beautiful. So and it thought, well, this is perfect. This is a nice way to start off with something special. It has a vintage piece of jewelry that is completely removable, and you can keep it on there or not. It's entirely up to you. The other dimensions, it's 10 inches tall, 6.5 inches wide, has 64 pages front and back, and it also has multiple other pages that I've tucked in spots and pockets and what have you, so that you have plenty of space to write. It includes 5 little charms. I'll try and show those better to you, but you can see she's quite chunky and she's quite beautiful. I am so pleased with her. So yes, it is a her. I don't know why, but you know, it's just gorgeous, and it's a her. So let's go ahead and get started. This one is for sale, and I'll put her link down below in my Etsy shop. And as I said, there's the piece of jewelry. It's completely removable. And also the tie, I've kept it removable. So you can use the lace for something else if you choose. It's entirely up to you. That gives you a better shot of the piece that I've covered it with. Just stunning. Okay, so let's open her up. And I've kept the front cover and the back cover, I've kept them blank because there's so much in here that I thought, no, I'm not going to detract from anything, so I've literally left those blank. You'll also see this is what I call a writing board. It's nice and thick, and it helps when you're trying to write on pages that are on top of other pages full of things. This journal has been inspired by 3 particular ladies, and I want to give them credit up front before I forget. Jeanette from My Cottage Crafts, and Carol Tinson, and also Chrissy Crosser from Chrissy's Attic, and I'll put those links below. They're my, oh goodness, I mean, there are many others that I enjoy. The Book Vandal Shop is one of them, a fabulous mentor. But these 3 ladies are the ones who inspired this particular journal. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, it's chunky, and that's okay. Chunky is good. In the first page, I have a letter that I try and always include with my journals. I got this idea from Jackie Chimes. She was the lady I bought my first journal from in what they call the, quote, junk journal world. Anything but junky about these little darlings. And in this one, I've done a compilation of old vintage, antique, and new laces. I love lace, but I didn't want it to be too soft looking, so I tried to give it a bit of an edge. This is a metal piece that I've had for years and years. It's just a beautiful piece. I believe these are designed to go on the fronts of furniture as decoration, and that's what that is. Here we have some lace. It's just a flip here, and then writing space. Have a pocket here with a piece of vintage crochet, and here we have an original postcard. It's called The Milkmaid. It is an original. Put him down in there, and then we have some vintage buttons on top of some it's not lace, what is it? I can't remember now. Anyway, we'll just go on. We'll figure it out later. Have a belly band here with a vintage button. And then paper. Again, I like to give space for writing, so this is strictly writing space. So that's there. And then here, again, Carol Tinson and Chrissy Crosser and Jeanette from My Cottage Crafts, they've all done variations of these mixed pieces where you take bits and pieces and stack them and play with them, and that's what I've done throughout the book, and it's so much fun, and it's a fantastic way to use up bits and scraps. It's amazingly fun once you get started. And that's something new that I've started doing. Instead of wax, which I've always heard is extremely brittle, I'm using glue sticks. And this one I just used a plain glue stick. I'm not sure if you can tell the design. It's a bee. And I've put some little gold powder on there to sort of bring out the design. But those are a lot of fun too. And again, more writing space. This is just a flip. And here we have vintage pieces that are snippets, really. This particular page, Carol Tinson, I have to give credit for her. I was reading this or watching this video of hers, and she was putting these, she was cutting pieces. How do I say it? She was punching out the design, but on a separate piece. Now, up until then, I thought, well, I have to punch the actual paper. Well, no, you don't. And this paper I almost tossed because you can see it's shorter than the others. And I thought, well, it's kind of weak over here. Well, this allows it to be strengthened, so it's cardstock is what the actual piece comes out of, and that also gives more strength to the design once you cut it out. Because sometimes when you punch out those papers, they're too fragile. So this is a perfect way of reinforcing edges and still getting a beautiful design. And then you'll see on the other side of this sheet, when I get further into it, how you can ink these up so that you actually get two designs in one. So more writing space, and this is some new ribbon. I love it. Walmart, of all places, had this. I was thrilled when I saw it and got several rolls of it. It was very inexpensive, and it's just gorgeous. More space. These are, oh, there's one of the little charms. It's just a little bit of, came off of an old piece of jewelry. Just little faux pearls. And this is Sari Silk with my ribbon, the leaf ribbon. I have this in green and cream, and I love these colors. Matter of fact, I'm getting low on this. I have to order it. This is an older piece of lace. This is new. This is from Hobby Lobby, and I love the design. It's so pretty. And this is just a little tiny bit there with some vintage buttons. And this is just completely down. It's not a tuck spot, because again, this is so full that if I added anything else and didn't make room for anything you wanted to add, then I wouldn't have been able to close it. So this is the middle of that first signature, and that lace is extremely old. It's very, I'm thinking 1950s, 1940s. Came from my favorite antique mall, Packard's Antique Mall here in Huntsville, Alabama. Love it. Some more vintage lace. This is some antique lace. And this is a CD sleeve that I put one of my, these are not dried flowers, they're simply pressed inside the CD sleeve to dry naturally without being pressed. I found that certain flowers do better that way. And this is one of them, because they're so fragile. If you press them, they basically become nothing. And so this one is an orchid. And again, it was just dried naturally. And inside here, I have quite a few cabinet cards that are portraits and what have you from the 1890s, 1870s, 1880s, on up to about 1910, 1920. And this is a photocopy of one of the pictures I have. They're just beautiful. I love them. And I've just put a little bit of a rose there on her little outfit there. So again, more writing space for there. And here we have a vintage doily type. No, actually, I'm sorry, it's not a doily. They were crocheted Christmas ornaments, and I put them in a coffee and tea bath, if you will. And vintage button. Here's another little bit of stacking here, and I got that flower from Annette over at Boho Provision Company. She also sells snippets, long rolls of these snippets. I'll put her link below as well. And then there's a little charm. It's a crown. I can't even talk this morning. I'm just excited about getting this finished. more of just a little flip there, and then this is a small pocket, tuck spot I guess you'd say. Again, with that yummy way of using bits and snippets and pieces you thought you would never use. I've learned just don't throw things out anymore. And this is just a photocopy. No, I'm sorry, it's not a photocopy, it's from a magazine that I had. I can't photocopy it, but another way of using up small pieces of paper. There we go, put him back in there. And here you'll see what I was talking about earlier from the this page here. When I inked it up, I had the two pieces of paper folded together, and so when I inked it up, I was able to create this design. And again, that's Carol Tinson. I urge you to go and watch her videos. They're easy to understand, and she's very patient, and just lovely ladies. All three of these ladies that this is designed for, or inspired from, they're just lovely to work with. Here we have another little flip using bits and pieces. This is a pocket, and this is a Carol Tinson inspiration of using little bags and just bringing up the bottom part of them. It's a piece of vintage fabric there, and just a little place to write here. And then this particular card, Family is Best, this is an original photograph. I've had this for years. Purchased it in Tacoma, Washington. It was created by Goldie, and that's her address in Broadway, Tacoma. And she made several of these, and I bought several, oh goodness, at least 15 years ago, perhaps. And I think this is about the last one I have, and I thought it would look perfect in here. A little bit of sari silk there. And it's just a nice tag that you can use on anything else, or just keep it right there. Another little stack here of just beautiful little snippets. Again, I've tried to give lots of space. And this is the back of the first signature. Vintage buttons, vintage. This came off of some pillowcases that I inherited from my great aunt, and I thought, well, what am I going to do with these? And I've been using it like crazy lately. Pocket here, vintage napkin. And this is kind of fun. When I was working on this the other day, it was Valentine's Day, and my granddaughter received a bouquet of flowers from my daughter, Laura. And in the flowers, they wrapped it up with cellophane that had a lace design. And I thought, well, that's perfect. So I just cut out bits and pieces of the lace out of the cellophane. You can see it's kind of, what do you call it, shiny. I did ink up the edges and ink along the center and stuff. I just put a little Velcro closure on it, very simple, and just tea-dyed paper like so. And I thought that was so sweet, and it's sort of, what, fortuitous? I can barely say it, but it just looked so sweet, and I thought, well, that has to be included. So another little area to write with. Here we have another charm. It's a little key. Here we have, this was a pocket created by using original pages from the Edith Holden book, Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. I've left the back pocket empty so that you can put your own things in it. I did leave some space for you. And this is an envelope. It's a seed packet, and that's from my friend Renelle. And I've just put some Tim Holtz botanical cut out there. It says seed type, variety, and notes, and you can put your own little correspondence or what have you. And this piece of lace, this is from about 1910, and it was literally falling apart, but I couldn't bear to throw it away, and now of course I've found that I can use it with these. So there we have that in there. Here we have, this was inspired by Jeanette at My Cottage Crafts, and she took a tag shape, if you will, and then did a little collage and then covered it in this netting. I thought, whoa, that is so pretty. It's unusual. So we all know I like unusual. So there we have it. So thank you for that, Jeanette. That's just sari silk up there. And this pocket was inspired by Jeanette as well as Carol Tinson. And I think also Chrissy Crosser does the same thing with these. Just bits and snippets that you've saved that you think you'll never use. And then here, let me show you, can actually, this is a pocket, but then underneath is a belly band if you want to slide something else in there. Okay, beautiful fabric flip here. And again, another one of these tags that have the netting over it and space to write on the reverse. And I think this one also is a, yes it is, it's also a tuck spot on top of a pocket. I'll get it out in a minute. And this is vintage and antique lace, as well as a piece of an old shower curtain that I bought. And this is an original photograph. I've just attached it there. It is an original. Lace flip. This is a pocket. These were cocktail napkins. So pretty. And inside I put an original postcard by Claude Monet. I don't remember what it's called, but just put a bit of lace on there. This one was actually printed in Germany. I was recently in Germany last year, and I was able to purchase a few items. My youngest daughter Elizabeth went with me, and of course I probably drove her crazy because she's not into that sort of thing, but I had a blast. This is using a pocket out of a CD sleeve, and this is another real orchid that I let dry naturally, and a little bit of bling there, vintage bits and pieces here, and then just some paper to write on. This is, obviously I put this in, should have put the other page up first, but this is the bottom half of a piece of, it was the cover for a piece of music, the Old Ore Presser, Chestnut Street, Philadelphia. I'm thinking about 1910, 1920, somewhere in there. It's the original, and it was the cover, so there was lots of writing space on there, and I've reinforced the center of it so that it wouldn't tear. This is a new piece of lace that I just love, Hobby Lobby. This is, I mean, they can come out with such beautiful pieces now. This is part of a, goodness, I've forgotten what those are called. Anyway, it won't even matter. It's just a decoration. Here, flowers. You can see the different variations you get with dyeing a lot heavier and then a lot lighter. A pocket made from some a vintage piece of, I think this was a pillow top that I've just dyed. And here's the bottom half of this card over here, which I can't recall what it is. Name, job description. Oh, I think it's a time card, for heaven's sake, or something like that. Name, job description, employee number, branch, hire date, and then you kind of keep track of things. Maybe not time cards so much as a way of tracking if you've had their evaluations and what have you. And I've just literally turned it into a little chance for more decorating. Let's see, where was I? Here we go. So it just slides down in there. Again, more from my pillowcases that I inherited from my great aunt. And this piece of fabric I fell in love with. Got it at Lowe's of all places. It's a it was a curtain valance, or a shower curtain. I think it was a shower curtain. Anyway, I fell in love with it and got it on sale. My husband's like, "What are you going to use that for?" Because he knew I didn't need any curtain valances or shower curtains. And I said, "No, they're for the journal." And he just, you know, he gave me one of those looks. But I love it. I love the colors. And that's just a little charm, a little lock with a little tiny diamonds in there. Diamond, I think I say that correctly. Who knows? But anyway, vintage button on a crocheted butterfly. Little flowers cut out with just little shell beads, or shell buttons really, that I've attached there. And that, I believe, from Jeanette. That's the other part of this fabric. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And here you see some more. Just a little flip. Vintage and antique lace. I think it's close to being it. I'm not sure what the dates are that you use for it, but 1940s, 1950s, I believe. Just put some little roses up there. Here we have another pocket. And I've just put in some writing paper. And again, this piece, you've seen bits and pieces of it elsewhere. It was from a shower curtain that I got at Walmart. And I wish now I had bought all that they had. They were on sale. And I love it. It's so beautiful, so intricate. And I love the color. It's sort of a dark champagne color, I think is what they call it. My husband calls it light brown. Yeah, well, you know, what can we say? A little bit of the leaf ribbon and some trim here. This is the other part of that cover for the music piece. Paul Duval piano solo. And again, that is an original piece that I was able to use there. And my last charm here is a little glass leaf. Just a bit of, that's an antique piece of lace, or I'm sorry, embroidery. Here we have a pocket that's created with old muslin that's been stained, and then I've just put the Tim Holtz botanical print on the top. Very striking. I loved the print, but I was like, where am I going to use this at? And I finally found a spot that came in really handy, so there it is. And then just, again, some writing paper. Gotta have space to write, and then, of course, you can always add your own things as well. This is satin that from an old wedding dress that I managed to salvage that was falling apart. And here, just, again, bits and pieces of snippets that I've saved. This, I have no idea what it's made of. Probably resin. I just love the color. And then, of course, there's a space to write here. And the last page is another Edith Holden pocket. These are using original pages from her book, and with bits and pieces on the top. I've left this back pocket blank for you to put your own things in, and I've just put a little photocopy of an original photograph that I have. Added some lace, and I've just put that in there. And again, this is for writing. I call it a writing board. For instance, if you're trying to write on something, let's see. Well, here's a good example. You're trying to write on the reverse of this, and it's kind of chunky because you've got these other things in it. And then you've got everything that it's laying on. So if you just put this back there, it makes it much more stable. And you can write it that way. And I'm trying to include those from now on because I've discovered it's very difficult to write in some of these without having something like that on board. So that is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed. As I said, I'm thrilled with her. She is just a beautiful journal. She is for sale in my Etsy shop. Link will be down below. And it comes with the long stretch of lace and then this vintage piece of jewelry that just goes on there to close her up. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Also, please, I'd appreciate if you would put the little like button down there, and leave me any comments or suggestions that you have. And I hope you have a lovely spring day. Well, I'm hoping for spring. I know I'm being a bit optimistic here for today. We're below 30, and in the South, below 30 is terrible. So, hope you have a great week, a blessed week. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.